Squid Game doesn't ask if we're monsters. It shows us we always were under the right lights, under the right cameras, under the right hunger. However, at its heart, Squid Game is a brutal allegory about capitalism, desperation, and dehumanization. The show asks, what does society do to people when money is treated as the highest value? The games reflect how society pits ordinary people against each other in a rigged system. The rich feast on suffering for entertainment, while the poor kill each other for scraps. The players are not fundamentally bad. They are cornered, exploited, and forced into savagery by debt and systemic inequality. Here's the disturbing point. The games don't make them evil. They reveal what fear, desperation, and survival instinct can do. In psychology, there is a concept called the thin veneer theory. According to this theory, civilization and morality are a thin layer. Under stress, war, famine, debt, or threat, people can revert to primitive, brutal survival. It's true. Players betray friends, kill sleeping teammates, push others to their deaths, and, in the final season, are even willing to sacrifice an innocent baby to survive. The VIPs throw the baby into the final game to test how far desperate people will go. Squid Game doesn't use the players. Instead, it shows how, when trapped in life or death, trust breaks down. Hence, self-preservation can override empathy, and systems of extreme inequality pit humans against each other until they act like animals. But it's not saying people aren't purely good. It's saying people are not born monsters. They're cornered and corrupted by a system designed to squeeze out every shred of compassion for profit or amusement. In the final season, when the VIPs throw in a baby, it's the purest test. What will desperate people do to survive? Will they protect the innocent or kill it for money? The show exposes how scarcity and desperation distort morality. When basic needs aren't met, the survival brain hijacks empathy. People rationalize betrayal to escape ruin. Let's look into some of the symbolic representations. When you notice there are many symbolisms throughout the game, like the players' tracksuits in Squid Game are a distinct teal green, a tone that is muted, and bluish green. This is significant because green is life, it's hope, whereas teal is softer than green, symbolizing a faded version of hope and life. It also looks institutional, like prison uniforms or factory overalls, underlining how they're treated like inventory or circus animals, not like humans. Look at the games that are played. The series is using innocent children's games for deadly contests, highlighting the fact that innocence is corrupted when survival is at stake. It's nostalgia weaponized. What about the shapes? Well, the circle, triangle, and square shapes are not only symbols of hierarchy and control, but also the guards' masks echo PlayStation buttons, showing they're just dispensable pieces in a bigger game. Gi-hun dyeing his hair bright red at the end of Season 1 was a sign of rebirth, rebellion, or a severed innocence. There's also an echo of Buddhist ideas, the cycle of suffering, samsara, the rebirth, the baby, the continuity of the game overseas, and the idea of clinging to money and power as it traps you in endless pain. Moving further, let's look at the masked VIPs, the ultra-wealthy elites who secretly fund and watch the games for entertainment. They're a symbol of the extreme upper tier of capitalism, the people for whom money has erased all limits, all risk, all accountability. But are they evil or just numb? Well, honestly, both. The VIPs chose the spectacle knowing they're orchestrating murder. They bet on who lives or dies like it's a horse race. They create a system that strips people of dignity, choice, and even identity, all for personal amusement. Their power shields them from consequences. That's real evil. They could do anything with their wealth, but they choose to turn human beings into disposable toys, all for the sake of twisted pleasure. When you take a look at them deeply, it is very apparent that the VIPs are sadists, addicts of novelty. The emotional and physical torment they inflict on people is something that brings life into their lifeless, numb lives. But it's not ordinary sadism. Psychologically, it's a twisted mix of voyeurism, transgression, and control. The entire game structure is built around surveillance, with hidden cameras monitoring every move, symbolizing how the powerful exploit the powerless while remaining unseen. This theme forces the audience to confront their own role as voyeurs, watching the violence unfold for entertainment, just like the VIPs do. Psychologically, Squid Game is a grim mirror of how fear of scarcity weaponizes human nature. It shows how debt and shame can strip away morality, how systems make betrayal logical, how even when people bond, the structure pushes them to turn on each other. Socially, it's about the cruelty of inequality, the invisible games we play daily. Who gets the job, the promotion, the bailout, the voyeuristic side of modern life. The audience is us too. We watch misery for thrill, reality TV, dark true crime, Squid Game itself. Spiritually, it asks, if society's only metric is profit, what does that do to the soul? Can one person fight back against a machine built to feed on misery? Does sacrifice have meaning when the system just replaces you? Even though Gi-hun's sacrifice saves the baby, the island is erased, the games move overseas, and the VIPs are already rebuilding now with a new recruiter in America. The frontman keeps the machine alive. The system absorbs the shock and evolves. This final gut punch shows one sacrifice can kill a system designed to feed on human desperation. But that doesn't make it meaningless. It plants a seed that might grow later. The baby and Gi-hun's daughter, Junho's renewed fight. It represents hope and innocence. By giving his life to protect a child, Gi-hun is rejecting the twisted voyeuristic system that profits off human suffering. His death becomes an act of defiance, a fitting moment for a flawed gambler, and an absent father who saves a life at the cost of his own. Gi-hun's sacrifice is meant as a wake-up call to cherish empathy and protect the future. His sacrifice is the culmination of a journey towards selflessness, ending the series on a note that says, real change comes from caring for the innocent and choosing humanity over greed. And it also affects the viewers and the frontman. He honored Gi-hun's last wish in his own cold, guarded way. It was his version of saying, you fought for something pure, at least your daughter should benefit from it. Deep down, the frontman is a tragic figure too, a past winner who became part of the system to survive. Seeing Gi-hun die to protect a baby reminded him of who he once was, before the game corrupted him. Sending the money was his subtle act of rebellion against the VIPs. The frontman, bypassing Season 1, showed us that choice isn't real when you're starving. Season 2 showed that rebellion is near impossible when the machine controls the arena, and the system is rigged. See True Rebel.